Saturday morning, May 2nd, just 48 hours before California's primary ballots hit the mail. I spoke with candidate Oliver Ma. Zooming in from his Airbnb room on a grueling campaign schedule, Ma looks young, fresh, and dashing, beaming a sunny California smile. Over the next hour, we dug into housing, civil rights, communities, and AI. This is a closer look at the policy priorities of a progressive with a bold vision for the Golden State. No campaign handlers, no scripts, just critical questions, unfiltered. Today we're pleased to have Oliver Ma joining us, millennial civil rights lawyer from Berkeley and Harvard, grown up in a California immigrant family. He has been fighting, literally, and winning on the very front line against Trump's anti-immigrant excesses and brutality. Now he's running for California's lieutenant governor. Welcome, Oliver. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. So excited to have this conversation with you.
So 中文说欢迎马默克 Oliver Ma.
大家好。
So first, congratulations on a very impressively robust campaign. Proud of you. 祝贺。
谢谢。
We're both from Berkeley, so go Bears.
Go Bears. I have ADHD.
ADHD?
Yes.
So you must be a very, very active boy when you were young.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So for those who don't know you yet, this is still early. This is still just the primaries are coming up. Who is Oliver Ma? Can we do the 19-second version to tell people who Oliver Ma really is?
Yeah. So I use the He series. I am an immigrant, a civil rights lawyer, and a candidate for California Lieutenant Governor.
Wonderful. When I look at your record, I can't help thinking of Obama, Harvard Law, civil rights lawyer, Congress, and on and on and on. It was so impressive. How about
Obama is very impressive. I don't think I am.
Well, you're young. You're much younger. He was 40 something when he ran for the highest office of the land. But you're just beginning, and you're so young, so impressively young, so strikingly young, I would say. How about give us reasons, say 3 to 5 or any number of reasons, why should people vote for you?
Yeah, so I am running for a California that works for everybody and not just for corporate interests. In my career, I have worked with a lot of working people, whether it be in eviction defense representing families against their slumlords, or as an attorney at the ACLU, where I often am in immigration detention centers trying to reunite families. In doing all of this work, I've seen how people are working harder and harder for less and less, and our economy doesn't work for people the way it used to. And a big part of that reason is because of the corruption in our politics. We have a system where a corporation or a special interest will donate X amount of dollars to politicians. And when those politicians win, they give them 10X, 100X amount of dollars in taxpayer money back. And as a result, our public institutions are no longer about making sure we have an economy that works for everybody, making sure housing is affordable, healthcare is affordable, education is affordable. And instead, we're giving so much of our tax resources to these special interests. I am fighting so that our economy in California works for regular people again. So we have a state where healthcare is free, where education is affordable, where housing is cheap, and where immigrant families like mine are safe.
Very clear and very strong, right? Spot on. And so given your civil rights record, a strong record, I must say, how does protecting immigrants benefit affordability and prosperity, particularly in our state where we are a nation of immigrants, and California is really a mosaic, and some argue to some extent, but somewhere between mosaic and a melting pot. racial harmony workforce-wise. How does that help us in particular?
Yeah, I'll tell a story about one of my clients. He had lived in the US for 20 years, always worked as a farm worker, never committed a crime. He has four young US citizen children, ranging from ages 4 to age 12. And until recently, he was working every single day as a farm worker, putting food on our tables. And then last year, when Trump took office, federal agents profiled him, saw that he had brown skin, and arrested him, even though he had no criminal record. And they took him to one of these immigration detention centers. In that immigration detention center, he's been there now for more than a year. Each year he's in there, that for-profit company charges taxpayers $200,000. And so before he was in there, he was making it work, benefiting our society and raising his four US citizen kids. Now that he's in this detention center, we're paying $200,000 for him to be in there. And now we're raising his four US citizen kids as well, taxpayers like you and me. And so what I believe in is for immigrant families to be together, for parents to be at home with their kids, for parents to be working and taking care of their kids instead of breaking families apart to throw them into these expensive for-profit prisons.
And he's only one of so many. We're in a weird situation. On the one hand, the job market is crumbling. On the other hand, well, thanks to manufacturing, including AI and Trump's policies. On the other hand, there are many places where it's so hard to find workers. And your story tells a lot. Bernie Sanders won California in 2016. Now there are more progressive DSA candidates up and down the ballots in many places. Is it time for democratic socialism or more of it?
I think so. I think so. Um, I I live in Bakersfield in Kern County, and it's very different than a lot of counties that I have lived in before. Because I grew up in Orange County. I went to school in Berkeley, then I went to school in Harvard. And in those places, if I meet 10 young people my age, nine of them will be college educated and working a professional job. In Bakersfield, if I meet 10 young people my age, five of them will be unemployed, four of them will be service workers, and then one of them will be working a professional job. And I saw that in the last presidential election, the people who were most likely to vote for Trump were the five who were unemployed because they felt like our current system, our current economy is no longer working for them and they're getting left behind. Trump is somebody who promised them transformative change, which they desperately need. And I sympathize with them because we're here in the US, wages for working people have remained stagnant since the 1980s, while costs have really blossomed out of control, right? Education is so much more expensive. Healthcare is so much more expensive. Housing is so much more expensive than before. And people are really looking for a change. And we can either get the change that the right is promising, which is to blame immigrants for everything wrong with our country, or we can go with the change that the left needs to promise, which is that our economy is not working for regular people, it's working mostly for corporations. And so I think the Democratic Party really, really needs to embrace the politics of the Bernie Sanders, the Zohar Mamdanis, the AOCs, or they will keep on losing to Trump and to fascism.
Some say idealism, campaign messaging, and actual policies in government are three different, even separate things. Campaign in poetry, govern in prose. I guess it means making ends meet for the government, just like for our families and our businesses, organizations, a nonprofit. So Mamdani wants to do a lot in the city. Some argue, is the budget stupid? Is California in a better place since we are much bigger, larger, more people than New York City to pursue socialist policies right now?
Well, I think Mamdani is really showing that the left can govern. I think he's doing such an effective job in New York City. And to do the policies that people like Mamdani or like myself are fighting for, it does not require a lot of money because they've had the policies that we want in Canada, in the UK, in Europe, in Australia, in East Asia. They've had those policies for decades. And the US is more wealthy than all of those countries. California, especially, is more wealthy than all of those countries. Mexico just passed universal health care in Mexico, and we are a lot more wealthy than Mexico. So it's not about not having enough money. It's really about making sure our money is going to the right places. Right now, for example, healthcare, right? We are, when I was born in Beijing, the life expectancy here in the US was 8 years longer than life expectancy in China. The average American lived 8 years longer. And if you had told my parents back then that this would change, they wouldn't believe you. But today, the average life expectancy in China is longer than the life expectancy in the US. Meanwhile, China is spending way less on healthcare than the US is. And so we have the most expensive healthcare system in the entire world. And that is what uncontrolled capitalism gets you. And with this really expensive healthcare, we have a life expectancy that is falling further and further behind compared to European countries, compared to East Asian countries. So we really need a shift. And that shift is not going to be more expensive than the system we have now.
Well, I noticed you mentioned China just now and in many speeches and interviews. Given Trump's absurdly xenophobic tone and the harsh policies, and given the conservative backlash, the anti-China, isn't there a concern of mentioning China in your campaign messaging?
I don't think I'll ever be able to hide who I am, and I don't want to hide who I am.
Okay,
I am, yeah, the fact is, I am Chinese American, and I'm proud to be Chinese American.
okay.
And I don't our people should hide that because um, culture and identity, those are so important to me and so important to our community. I trust that with a message of hope, with a message of what a better California will look like, people will can look past some of the xenophobia coming from the other side, from Trump's side. Um, and indeed, that's what we've seen on the campaign. I do get the occasional hate comment, people telling me to go back to China and things like that, but I never even have to defend myself because so many people jump onto the comment section to defend me. And I think I have a lot of faith in Americans and in the American public.
John McCain defended Obama.
Yes.
Good people. There are too many good people in America. Good, well said. So many still argue that prosperity, abundance, and a strong middle class are essential. It has been a bipartisan holy grail for almost a century. JFK called it a rising tide lifts all boats. Bill Clinton is the economy stupid. Is abundance part of the current way to that you are running against the status quo to blame for many societal ills that must be abandoned?
Abundance?
It's a trending theory. It's called the latest version would be called the third way, the Clinton Biden moderate approach to the economy and the social justice.
I think it is not. I think what we got promised from that side of the Democratic Party is
Mhm.
not what they actually delivered.
Okay.
They will always say, we are pro middle class. They will always say we are pro abundance. But when you look at their policies, that is not what actually gets done. The middle class would vastly benefit from a better healthcare system. The middle class would vastly benefit from affordable college tuition. The middle class would vastly benefit from affordable housing policies. But those are not the policies the Democratic Party champions. I think one of the key reasons why Democrats lose is because they have a habit of telling 80% of their voters to shut up and get in line so they can get a check from the corporations. Democratic leadership talks a lot about helping the middle class, making sure housing is affordable, while at the same time they're taking millions of dollars from corporate landlords. They talk a lot about making healthcare affordable, while at the same time taking millions of dollars from big pharmaceutical companies and big insurance industries. They talk a lot about making education affordable. They talk a lot about all of these other things while taking checks from the other side. And when you routinely tell 80% of your voters to shut up and get in line so you can cash a check from a corporation, eventually you're going to lose. And that's what we saw happen in 2024.
That's classic definition of corruption, political
Mhm.
corruption. Voters want lower taxes, more better public services, cheaper
Yes.
housing, a cleaner and safer natural world. How do you suggest that we better juggle all of those wants?
Yeah. Yeah. By stop wasting our tax resources, right? So, for example, the state of Israel has free education and free healthcare for their citizens. We don't have free education here. We don't have free healthcare here. And yet we give Israel 20 billion taxpayer dollars every single year. And the reason we do that is because Israel invests in our elections. They donate to politicians who are pro-Israel. It's corruption. And the reason we pay so much in taxes, but we get so little in services, is because so much of our taxpayer dollars are going to these special interests, not just APAC, right? But also for-profit ICE prisons, which are locking up the dads that I told you about, the corporate landlords, the big pharmaceutical companies, fossil fuel companies. All of these companies are taking up so much of our taxpayer resources. We should have a society where these corporations are paying their fair share and subsidizing our public system. But instead, we have a system where the public is subsidizing these companies. And that needs to be reversed.
There can be a zero sum between the middle and the lower bottom. There can be.
Yes.
What do you say?
I do believe a rising tide lifts all boats, you know? So maybe you can quote me and Clinton together on that. Um, I think when we have a society that is fair and equitable, where everyone has a chance to succeed, where everyone has access to housing, education, and healthcare, then we have a more vibrant economy and a more successful society for everybody. But right now, what we have is a system that doesn't take care of anybody, not the middle class or working people, because the only people we're taking care of are the corporations. And so I think that's a real issue.
It still trickle down and nobody wins.
I don't think much of it is trickling down.
So we're aligned. Winnability is no longer too big of a hurdle. Sanders, AOC, were riding the tides on popular revolution, symbolized by Occupy Wall Street. Mamdani ran and won on affordability and the anti-Trump public sentiment. In Lincoln's words, it's everything. DSA overall tends to be anti-establishment, basically a change of guards to save the union. That's entirely unlike Trump, MAGA, anti-institution, anti-America, to do away with the USA, to do away with all the public services as the world knows us. So some call Trump the best advocate for progressive candidates. You are anti-Trump, anti-Israel, anti-corruption, anti-corporate ultra power, anti-status quo. Some may wonder how far do we as a society need to go to call it a real revolution?
How far we as a society need to go to call it a real revolution?
Well, the newer crop of progressives have
Hmm.
been writing a public sentiment, and they're pushing for the revolution. And one of your endorsers was built by Bernie Sanders. It's called The Revolution. And I just had a new post just now and setting up this conversation. I listed all the organizations and people that have endorsed you. I was so proud, by the way. So revolution is a key word. Uh, America is unlike the old world, the Eurasia and other places. America is for peaceful evolution. Of course, the recent past one or two or maybe three generations, revolution has become a buzzword. So how
Hmm.
far do we need to go to call it a real social revolution? Or is it just for the freedom of speech? It's actually still peaceful evolution.
Yeah, I no, I don't think we need a revolution.
Okay.
Um, we need to change our current system, but I think, revolution people tend to think really radical. And I don't think the things I'm fighting for are radical. I believe very simple things. I believe immigrant families belong together instead
Okay.
of in for-profit ICE prisons. I believe housing should be for people and not corporate landlords. And I believe our tax dollars should be spent on kids here instead of bombing kids in the Middle East. Those are not radical things. And in many ways, I would say those are things most regular people believe in. And I just think we need to go with what's what's very natural and what's just right. I would say what the other side is fighting for is a revolution in that it is so radical and extreme, right? Because they are saying that
Well,
um
counter-revolution, an
right.
anti-American counter-revolution, a
Yeah.
reactionary movement.
Yeah. Like instead of having housing that regular people can afford, we should have corporate landlords own everything. Instead of investing our tax dollars here, we should use it to bomb children in Palestine and in Iran. Instead of having immigrant families together, we should throw immigrant parents into for-profit ICE prisons. Those are extremely evil and radical things to suggest, and but that's what's happening today.
Now, for immigrants, for working families, for the environment, for America, for California, those are very strong public sentiments. Then for the past 10 years, the past 10 Trump years, voters in this country apparently are politically confused. And the ties are going back and forth. So you, Oliver Ma, you are riding on the tide of what public sentiments?
The public sentiment that our economy no longer works for us and it has not delivered the things that we were promised, and that we need politics and we need a society and we need an economy that works for regular people and not just for the people who are able to donate to politicians.
There's a natural association between your campaign and the DSA, the Democratic Socialist of America.
Yeah.
Do you see DSA rising as a real third major political party? This third party has been tried a few times. And do you see that happening now?
So I am running as a Democrat,
Okay.
and DSA also usually endorses candidates that run as Democrats.
Okay.
I wouldn't call DSA a third party. I would call them mainly a social organization that tries to protect and advance their communities that will sometime endorse candidates for elections who are on the left, but still within the Democratic Party, usually, right? So Zoran is a Democrat and a Democratic Socialist. Same with Bernie, same with AOC, same with myself. I think our theory of change is much more that we want the Democratic Party's platforms to reflect what regular Democrats want instead of what the party elites want. There are third parties. In California, we have the Green Party and we have the Peace and Freedom Party,
Hmm.
and both of them are running candidates for governor this year. One of them has a candidate for lieutenant governor, the
Okay.
Peace and Freedom Party.
Okay.
And so I have great respect for them because I think the kind of change we need takes people trying to bring change from the inside, such as myself,
Hmm.
and people throwing rocks and shouting from the outside, such
Okay.
as the Peace and Freedom Party.
Okay. Shall we consider DSA the progressive win of the Democratic Party, and
You
instead of
can,
a third separate party, political party?
yes, you can say they're the progressive wing, but I want to give DSA more credit because
Okay.
I think their main focus is not on elections. And that's why I'm so proud to be working with them
Hmm.
because DSA, like most of their effort is on things like mutual aid and organizing tenant unions and rapid response networks and protecting immigrants and things like that, things that matter just as much, if not more, than elections.
There's a
And
lot of
so,
day-to-day stuff.
day-to-day stuff that protects the community. And I
Hmm.
think that stuff really matters. And so, yes, I am the DSA champion for California this year,
Okay.
but my goal is really one of my goals is to help grow DSA so they can have more strength when doing that other really important work as well.
I want to swing back and talk a little bit about the middle, the so-called independents. They're Democrat-leaning independents, they're Republican-leaning independents, but they are larger. The overall independent bloc is larger than either parties now. What do you
Mhm.
say to them?
Yeah, I would say the things that I am fighting for are right in the middle. They are things that regular people want,
Mhm.
um, and that what we're fighting against is very radical, right? The Israeli lobby, the for-profit ICE prisons, the corporate landlords, and I think a lot of people in the middle are not in the middle. They just don't trust either Democrats or Republicans.
Totally.
And I agree with them. I have zero faith in the Democratic Party because how can I? In the 10 years I've been able to vote, I've seen them lose to fascism twice. So I have no faith in the Democratic Party. I have no faith in the Republican Party. Both of these parties take money from very similar entities, very similar corporations, and both of them end up supporting very similar policies. And so in 2024, I didn't vote for a Democrat or a Republican. So in a way, I'm one of those voters in the middle. And I think we need a better kind of politics that reflect what regular people want instead of what these party elites want.
Nationwide, the moderates, the liberals, the traditional Democratic liberals still enjoy substantial support. What do you say to voters who have issues, who have concerns about the progressives? What do you say to those voters? We need them, right, to win, for progressives to win, right?
Yes, we do. And I would say those voters, I would tell them this, that we have cycle after cycle ran candidates in the middle with the idea that if we run somebody moderate and the Republicans run somebody extreme like Trump, then we will win. And we don't win. Hillary Clinton was very moderate. I was not happy voting for her for president. And she lost to Trump, who never worries about being moderate. He just gets up and says whatever he wants, whatever his advisors are telling him in the morning, never worries about being in the middle. Same thing with Kamala. I didn't even vote for Kamala, and she lost to Trump. The reason we lose to the radicals on the Republican side is because we are running candidates who don't stand for anything. We are running candidates who just take the stances they have because they've polled people and and the polling says you should take this stance and you should use these words when you take these stances. And as a result, they all sound the same. They're not speaking with conviction. They're not speaking from their heart. And so they're not persuasive because they don't actually stand for the things they are saying. And instead, we need to run candidates who are genuine, who have integrity, who stand for inspirational things. And that's how we're going to beat Trump because what the Democratic Party has been doing is not beating Trump.
Do you tell people who you voted for?
I voted for the Green Party in 2024.
So who do you see winning the governor's race? Progressive or mainstream liberal?
um, I don't know. I don't know who's going to win. I also don't have someone that I strongly support.
Uh-huh.
Um, Yeah, I think like Californians, I am also still assessing my options and thinking about who I would support.
The polling numbers indicate the a Republican is leading, and the second one is Tom Steyer. Now that's a billionaire. That's a self-styled progressive billionaire and a
Mhm.
very pro-environment. He and his family has given tons and tons of money to environmental causes and to liberal and some progressive projects. Do you see him winning? Because his biggest issue is the biggest issue for him would be winnability. So even Governor Newsom is sitting on the fence for him, but he's leading the non-Republican pack.
Yeah, he could win. And if he wins, I think based on what he says, it seems like we have a lot that we will be working on together.
Okay.
Um, but I've never met him in person, and he is a billionaire, and which is difficult for me to support.
Okay.
So I haven't endorsed him, but I think he'll be easier to work with than some of the other candidates for sure.
We're doing very well with time. So I'm going to insert one thing that I'm truly inspired by your messages,
Oh,
housing.
thank you.
Housing. It's wrong. It's wrong for big corporations to outcompete consumers, working families. What can be done about it?
Yes.
Well, you are
So
advocating legislation banning big corporations, and I think it's about time.
yeah. Yeah, so that's the big thing we can do, is to ban them from buying up all the single family homes. I think we need to put a cap. Right now, actually, there's a bill in the California state legislature that would cap big corporations to 1,000 single family homes. Now, for me, 1,000 is still a really, really high number. And having sued these corporations before, I know it takes them a day to incorporate another LLC and then buy 1,000 more. And so I don't think that's enough. I think the cap really should be like two or maybe three homes, um, and not 1,000.
Because there's just not enough to go around given the growth of our economy, of our population. So we must go the legislation route. As a lieutenant governor, you would be sitting on the board or a committee on housing.
I would chair the State Commission on Economic Development.
Okay,
And I think the biggest challenge facing our economy is the housing crisis.
the younger generation.
Yeah.
Many younger voters voted for Trump in 2024 and reversed the next year, 2025, both times in very high percentages. Political confusion is even deeper among the younger people the younger voters who have grown up to be voters under Trump in the past 10 years.
Hmm.
And things are not getting better. I'm curious, as AI is really pressing hard on the job market,
Hmm.
squeezing, what do you see as the solution to the growing job losses? Do you have any thoughts? Have you given any
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah. I'm an AI hater. Very publicly, I
Okay.
hate AI. And there's many reasons I hate AI. One is we get fed all this narrative about how AI is supposed to make everything better, right? The economy has what, billions, trillions of dollars invested in AI, and we're told it's going to change the world. I have not seen my healthcare costs go down because of AI. I have not seen housing costs go down because of AI. In fact, what I do see is AI being used in algorithms by companies so that they can squeeze every last nickel out of me in healthcare and housing. I have seen AI used in horrible ways. When ICE is trying to catch workers, ICE will pull out a heat-seeking thermal drone that can detect body heat to find workers. And that is a very cruel and tyrannical use of AI that really should scare everybody.
Maybe
Hmm.
foolish too.
For the government to have that much power.
Mhm.
Um, I've also seen AI, of course, replace thousands and thousands of workers. One thing my union mentor said to me that really sticks out to me is they will never be able to take our power of labor away. We will always have that power. But if AI is replacing all the jobs, then we no longer have that power. And I think unions and protecting our right to organize is so important for protecting our economy and for protecting working people. And so that also really scares me. And so I have not seen AI do anything good. I've only seen AI do a lot of bad. And so I would support legislation that would stop AI from replacing people, and make sure that these tech companies do not have the power to rule our lives, and government does not use AI to oppress regular people.
Many of the issues, housing, AI, and the job losses seems to have to stem from the big tax cuts, the two huge tax cuts. And there's too much money. Corporations and the upper 1%, they have so much money. What
hmm
do? They buy houses,
hmm
they buy stocks. Now, that explains partially why we have humongous ups and downs in the markets. And they invest in newer ventures. And it's this excessive amount of capital floating around instead of doing good, serving the benefits of the working families or of the middle class. They serve their own interests, and by monopolizing all the opportunities. I mean, AI is one typical example. There's too much money. There's so much money. Much of this hype is because there's too much money flowing into it. What's your thoughts on
hmm
that?
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm in San Francisco today, and
Okay.
when you drive into San Francisco, every single billboard is about AI. And most of those billboards I don't even understand. I don't even know what they're saying because they're using all these fancy terms. Um, so there is so much money going into these things and so much money going into our billionaires that do not serve our society. Like you cannot tell me that Elon Musk buying another private jet does more for our economy than giving healthcare to thousands of people, right? Or Elon Musk having another yacht does more for our economy than giving free college tuition to thousands of students. Like that is not the most efficient use of our society's resources. So instead of giving these billionaires more and more tax cuts, why don't we demand that they pay their fair share so that regular people can also prosper in the US?
That man has captured much of the younger generation's imagination by advocating, let's go to Mars and stuff. How about taking care of people on Earth? You are not alone in being alarmed by this AI, by the rapid rise of AI power, and behind and the power of the capital, the individuals behind the AI rise. Their voices rising now, and uh, do you see a rising tide of public sentiments also there?
Against AI? I think so.
Okay,
2 years ago, I was not this anti-AI. I
okay,
was like, oh, ChatGPT, like it's useful. But I just have not seen like really like I have no agenda against AI. I have a very curious open mind, but really over the years I've only seen it hurt people and not benefit people. And I think a lot of young people especially are also seeing the same things.
as lieutenant governor, you'll be sitting on the board for higher education too, right? The UC schools, the Cal State schools, and the community colleges,
Yeah.
the largest public education system on the surface of this planet. So on higher education, given the increasingly tough job market, do you still see free college the answer or some sort of a remedy?
Yes, yes, absolutely. I think because the job market is so tough, we need to invest more in higher education.
Okay.
Because people with college degrees are still much more likely to get a job, especially if it's in a field that AI does not replace. But also, I think beyond that, we need to protect our job market and make sure we're actually spending on the things that people actually need, right? So much of our society's resources go to things like for-profit ICE prisons or go to things like ICE agents. Why are ICE agents getting $50,000 signing on bonuses, but not our teachers? Right. So I think California, we need to refocus our investments away from the things that doesn't actually benefit California, like bombing children in Palestine,
Mhm.
and actually focus on the things that do benefit Californians, things like nurses, social workers,
Mhm.
paying our teachers better. And
Mhm.
that's also going to create more jobs for our new college students.
What advice would you give to younger people in selecting fields of studies and a career path? Now you are at the beginning uh, of a very promising political career. What do you turn around, tell younger people that's coming up?
I always tell them the same thing, which is find something that lights a fire inside of you, right? I try to, as much as you can, work directly with people,
Mhm.
directly with communities, and see how our system hurts people. You can work in a community health clinic. You can work in a homeless shelter. You can work in volunteer in an immigration detention center. Really see people being harmed by our society because that's going to light a fire, a passion inside of you that is better than like me telling you what to get involved in. If you have that own fire, you will find the opportunities that work for you. You will wake up every morning excited to go to work. And that's the key to success.
And a bonus is AI is not going to take those jobs away.
Yes, those
Okay.
those jobs are very hard to replace.
Okay. What are you learning on the campaign trail about our state, our people, and you yourself?
Oh, that's a hard question.
Okay.
Don't know what I'm learning about myself yet. Um,
You're
I
still
think
Oliver.
I think I've learned that I'm more resilient than I thought. The campaign trail is tough. California is a big state. There are so many different issues. So many people have opinions. Now
Mhm.
that I'm kind of a public figure, everyone has good opinions, bad opinions. But I have a very good team behind me, and I think we're running a really good campaign. Um, in terms of learning about the state, I think it's really reinforced that a lot more people believe the things that I'm fighting for than I thought. I thought before this campaign that, oh, like, I'm going to be backed by DSA, right? I'm on the left side of the Democratic Party. But I'm meeting so many regular people,
Mhm.
even people who voted for Trump, who really believe in the things that I'm saying. Because I think a lot of Americans feel left behind by our economy. A lot of Americans feel like our current politicians are not adequately representing them, and they feel very disillusioned. And this campaign is speaking to them and talking about the issues that people actually really care about and that really matters to people. And so that's been very hope inspiring.
That sounds so cool. So 最后用中文说，
好，
金色加州有近200万华裔的乡亲。那么我们在社区发展和族群维权方面，应该怎样学习非裔、拉丁裔、印裔啊？And not to fall into the identity politics trap。
嗯哼，嗯哼，我觉得咱们华人在美国的未来是一个特别危险的一个未来，
嗯哼，
因为现在民主党跟共和党唯一一个他们俩同意的地点就是中国是美国的敌人。那如果中国是美国的敌人，那在美国的华人也变成美国的敌人，也会被他们看成间谍。这是为什么在很多的这个美国的州现在有反对华人的法律，在 Ohio、在佛罗里达、在 Iowa、在 Texas，最近都会有法律说让华人不可以在他们的州里买房子，或者在他们的州的公共的大学工作等等。所以华人咱们必须得站起来，必须得发出咱们的声音。第一，第二，没有足够多的华人去让，就只有华人就可以保护咱们，对吧？就算在加州，华人也只占可能10%，在全美国，华人可能只占4%或者更少。那咱们自己光依靠自己，没有足够多的华人去保护咱们的未来，所以咱们现在必须得交朋友，必须得做这种 coalitions。现在 ICE 正在抓的人，主要不是华人，主要抓的是拉丁裔，
嗯哼，
主要抓的是皮肤是棕色的
嗯
人。但是如果咱们现在不为拉丁裔站起来，咱们现在不为美国的宪法、美国的人权站起来，那以后真的跟中国打起来冷战的时候，他想把华人都给抓起来的时候，也没有人保护咱们了。在二战的时候，他把日本的一代、日本的二代、日本的三代都抓进了集中营里去，
我去看过那些集中营，
对，非
在
常可怕。
嗯
而且这个告诉什么呢？就是我的奶奶、我的家长、我的孩子、我的孙子孙女都会被抓起来。如果是那个时候，这是一个很危险、很危险的未来。而且我觉得美国的宪法、美国的人权，他们是没有军队的，
嗯
他们的力量，唯一的力量就是咱们觉得他们有力量。美国的宪法就跟一个大石头似的， 这个大石头是压在政府上面，不让政府去违反美国的人权。但是这个石头没有一个总统给打下来一小块儿，这一小块就永远都粘不回去了。这个石头会变得越来越轻，越来越轻。所以咱们现在必须得站起来，保护这块石头，保护美国宪法，保护美国人权，不让特朗普的政府违反法律。如果咱们现在不站起来，为别的族裔站起来，未来就没有人来保护咱们了。
So well said and powerful stuff. So given the backlash, strong backlash, political backlash against identity politics, we are in a tough spot. 所以下个礼拜我会与3位activist 维权的华裔维权的 activist 举行这样一个会议，我们会讨论在 New Jersey、在 Iowa、在Louisiana 刚刚 something just happened, the voting rights verdict. 如何 promote 华裔的维权，这个情况不是非常乐观，因为 backlash against identity politics. We're not for identity politics, we're for civil rights, for human rights. Here, to your point, it's constitutionally protected freedom, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, citizens' rights. And we're standing on the shoulders of giants of preceding generations who fought with life and blood for what we have now. 但是他们都表示很不乐观。首先，我们华裔自己就只要拿到绿卡、拿到公民身份之后，就不再在乎了。同时呢，华裔对外广播我们的信息，对提炼我们的 messages 又不是非常 strong， 所以我看到这个消息之后，我就说 let's do some public communications， 这个不能一直这样被动在这里。他们非常非常 depressed， 现在就是整个这个氛围是感到比较helpless 呢 and hopeless。所以你说的这个应该 stand up and stand out and united is very very important.
Yes.
Hey, Oliver, we met before. So my question
hi.
is, yeah, as you can see, right, both the governor and lieutenant governor candidate, the field is very wide, a lot of like more than 20 candidates. And then especially, it's just probably by coincidence, another Chinese American candidate, also last name is Ma. I assume you guys are not related, right?
We're not related, no.
And then Fiona Ma, she was the state treasurer, and she's quote unquote establishment candidate, right? And she's very well known among the Chinese American community, especially among Democrats community, and pretty much well liked. And then we really want to hear from you. What's your value proposition? If I have to pick you or Fiona, why would I pick you instead of her?
Yeah, on the campaign trail, we never like going after specific other candidates. And instead we like to go after systems. And so, I'll just share, I'm the only candidate who has called for the abolition of ICE. I'm the only candidate willing to call for divestment from genocide in Palestine. I'm the only candidate calling for affordable housing for regular people instead of corporate landlords, calling for universal health care. I think those are the things that California really needs, are policies that help regular people instead of policies that help whoever donates the most to our politicians. My career has always been fighting for working people, fighting for families, right? I'm not meeting with donors or corporate fundraisers. I'm in an immigration detention center trying to reunite a family. I'm not meeting with lobbyists. I am organizing trying to get people, families to stay in their homes. I think that's the kind of experience we need leading California, is someone who is willing to fight on the front lines and has experience advocating for families instead of career politicians with 20 years of experience and 20 years of political connections.
Got it. I think it's very convincing. I'm sold.
Okay, thank you.
Again, thank you. It's been truly a treat. The very best of luck. 再次感谢，加油！用中文说叫以梦为马，马到功成。
马到功成。Yeah, today's year of horse, and then we say Oliver gonna be the candidate to win this year, right?
是应该改一下，叫盛逢马年，以梦为马，马到功成。
对，这个很好。
OK，
thank you for the
加油
questions. Thank you. I hope to talk
Thank
again
you.
soon.
OK，
Yeah.
辛苦了。OK，
Thank you, Oliver.
Okay,
Thanks,
Take
James.
care. Bye bye.
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 Thanks for watching America Live. Share with others and subscribe if you like it. Till next time. 感谢收看，记得订阅。我是风鸣，下集更多精彩。